Wow, what a difference a night makes, right? We go on last night and freaking out. Now tonight we got to win. So completely different. A lot of things to talk about. Uh, go get everybody joined in first. Then we'll start talk about this Phillies win, Flyers loss. A little disheartening a little bit, but that's okay. We'll be back. We'll be back, right? That's what it's all about. We'll be back. Definitely be back. It's Friday night, man. What better thing to do a Friday night at 11 o'clock than talk sports, right? What else are we doing right now? Nothing open. Can't eat out. Well, you can, but you might be eating in the rain. That's a topic for another day, right? Let me share this real fast. How's everybody's night going, by the way, man? We got to talk about this Phillies lineup. Bullpen blew it again, right? But they were pretty solid for 4 innings, but Hector Neris blows it again. What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy? All right, getting there. So want to tell everybody, first of all, to settle down with the Flyers talk, right? Settle down. Everybody relax. It's going to be okay. Just like Aaron Rodgers said, right? It's going to be okay. We'll talk about it in a minute. But listen, Phillies get a big break tonight, right? The Phillies get a big break that Jacob deGrom is scratched. They do not have to face him, which was one of the biggest problems that we seen going into this game. Still almost lost this game. But let me just ask this question as we go on. Is there a better duo in baseball right now than Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto? Is there a better 1-2 punch than JT and Bryce? And what I mean by that, is there a better 1-2 punch that's playing better than JT and Bryce? Listen, I get it. You have Giancarlo Stanton and you have Aaron Judge out there in the Bronx Bombers, but you also have Trevor Story, you have Nolan Arenado, Charlie Blackmon. You have a lot of guys, but I just, I feel something special between these two guys brewing, right? And if only Rhys Hoskins could figure himself out, we would be set, right? We would be consistent and we would have a consistent lineup. But, I picked Bryce Harper as an MVP this year before the COVID even hit. When we were doing preseason predictions and we were talking about the Phillies coming in and we were saying, who's going to be the guy. And I felt this was the year. This was the Bryce Harper year. He looked tremendous in training camp, in spring training when they started. You could just tell he was focused. He was ready. And I'll tell you what, he's showing it right now. I mean, he's really making great contact with the ball. You never question his leadership. Never question him, right? If you commit to Harper like that, Mike says, if you commit to Harper like that, they did. Yeah, you're right. You have to sign this guy. I mean, we talked about this last night. We're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about tomorrow. We're going to talk about it next week. This is a guy you have to sign. You just have to do it, right? You just have to do it. And it's irresponsible for you not to do it, right? Yo, look at Joe. Joe's not like Twitter taught me tonight. It's a series. There's more games for the Flyers. Joe, absolutely. Were people ready to jump off the bridge with the Flyers? Now all of a sudden, I even see some people questioning Carter Hart. Oh, maybe he's not the goalie we thought he was. Are you freaking kidding me? It's one game, man. It's one game. Like, it happens. Listen, it happens. It really does. Is it heartbreaking? No, it's not devastating, right? It's concerning a little bit because you lose 5-0 and you play lackadaisical on defense and you gave up the puck and you looked like you weren't focused at times and you couldn't adjust, but that's okay. That's why, Joe, just like you said, that's why it's a series, right? That's why we call it a series. Everybody just thought the Flyers would go in and sweep, but yeah, they are that good, right? They're really good, but they're human. Everybody's human. Carter Hart is human. He's 21 years old, people. He's 21 years old. Dominic Hasek, Curtis Joseph, Patrick Waugh, Carey Price, who they face, they've all had games like this. It's going to be okay. Mike says they have to respond. That's all. Absolutely. That's what they have to do, right? They have the coach. They have the veterans. They have the ability to do this. They're going to be fine. They're absolutely going to be fine. Everybody has to relax. What everybody should be worried about is what the Sixers are going to do. That's what everybody should. I don't care what they're doing against the Rockets, because the game means absolutely nothing, right? I'm more focused, instead of the Sixers, I'm more focused on the playing game tomorrow between Portland and Memphis. But that's another topic because, I have so much love for Damian Lillard, and he just makes me so jealous to know that we have no player like that on this team and never will. So it just makes me want to cry. But when we talk about the Phillies, one thing that I want to point out, and I'm not gonna take credit for this. I wish I had his name. I completely forget. He writes for CBS Sports. David something. Honestly, I forget. I should have wrote it down. But, he had a video up there, on Twitter of JT Realmuto. If you've seen it, let me know. And JT Realmuto, just to give you an idea of how good JT is, right? He does so much more than just hit 8 home runs like he has right now and 20 RBIs. And what he has done is he's shown a leadership to not only pitchers, but players. And here you have Roman Quinn, young player who's shown the inability to stay healthy, right? But when he is healthy, he is quick as hell, right? So his speed around a base pass was absolutely insane. But the most intriguing part of that play was the video of JT Realmuto waving Roman Quinn to the right to let him know where to slide, because he knew Wilson Ramos was completely out of position as a catcher in front of the plate. He knew he would not be able to swing around and get him that far out, and he'd be able to get his hand in there. That's how special JT Realmuto is. That's the things that he does. That's the little things that he does. That's what nobody talks about, right? That's what nobody talks about. What they talk about is what happens when, the bullpen blows up, right? I get it. What happens when JT's hot, he hit another home run. Absolutely, you're right. But let's talk about the intangibles. Let's talk about what he brings from that standpoint as well, because that's what takes him to the next market level. That's what takes him to the next step. And you know what? I like Ruben Amaro Jr., but I kind of disagree with him. They interview Rube after the game, and they ask him, from his general manager experience about signing JT, and he's like, hey, you're going to be 2 to tango, and, COVID hit, and it kind of stalled things, and the market is what, listen, they're all excuses to me. I said this last night, and I'll say it again. All excuses. What has to happen is when you're a general manager and you bring in a guy of JT Realmuto's caliber, you already have to look at that 2 years from the time that you bring him in and say, he's got 2 years left on his deal. He's 26, 27 years old at that time. And we know we're going to have to sign him long term. We know we're going to have to do that. And if we're giving up what we gave up in our top prospect at that time, then you have to already look forward. You have to have forward thinking, Matt Klentak, and say, guess what? This is what we're going to have to do. This is how we're going to sign this guy. There would be no argument. There would be no excuse. Rube did it. Listen, we some people disagree with it. Some people didn't. But he did it with Ryan Howard. And guess what? If Ryan Howard does not blow out his Achilles, we all know this. If he does not blow out his Achilles in the final game against the Cardinals, that contract would have been fine. There would have been nothing wrong with that contract, because Ryan Howard had the most historical run in probably Major League Baseball in a 4-year period. Okay? In a 4-year period, he had one of the most ridiculous runs you will ever see that will probably not be duplicated. Okay? That's how good Ryan Howard was. So, yes, he did deserve that contract. If you remember, it was at a time where they were talking about Albert Pujols and Ryan Howard. There was even rumors about, hey, maybe we trade for Albert Pujols and Ryan Howard straight up because we'd rather pay Albert Pujols than Ryan Howard. Ridiculous. That's what Philly sports radio is, unfortunately. It's absolutely ridiculous sometimes. They bring up the dumbest things I've ever heard of. Not everybody, because some of them are really good. I like, but when you hear things like that, we all know who does it. It's just ridiculous. So, but no, Ryan Howard was worth that money, and Rube gave it to him. He didn't have him go test free agency because guess what? He kind of knew. He knew what Ryan Howard was. He knew what he had. He knew what the market was. They already knew that. So this is a ball drop by the organization when it comes to JT Realmuto. Simple as that. And what's crazy is to get back to the whole Bryce Harper and JT conversation where we talk about them being maybe possibly the top duo in Major League Baseball. Go on MLB.com right now. Go to MLB leaders in 2020. After 20 or so games, check it out. And I guarantee you from slugging percentage, on base percentage, home runs, hits, average, RBIs, at least one of those two guys is in every single top 5 category. That's how good they are right now. And just think about what would happen if they actually did have a bullpen. If they did have a bullpen, that's how much better this team would be. At least 75% of their losses is because of the bullpen. So this team is not that far off. The problem is the bullpen is so bad. Okay, it's so bad that sometimes it just can't carry it. Sometimes that's what happens. You get into a point where, and as much as you love Joe Girardi, you get to a point where maybe you're making decisions just because the fact that the bullpen is that bad, decisions you normally wouldn't make, right? And that's what happens. It alters your game now. It alters your psyche, which kind of sucks because that's not how you want to manage. And this is something we talked about last night that Joe inherited. But it was nice to see the guys get the win. I get it. Neris blew to save, but luckily Bryce Harper comes up clutch again, after Rhys Hoskins strikes out again. Rhys again, 2 fastballs right down Broadway, completely misses. It's getting old now with the Rhys Hoskins talk. It really is. But I can't. I really can't. Spencer Howard leaves with blisters. We've seen that before. He's a young guy. Listen, it's going to happen. It's going to be fine. It's going to take us some time to get acclimated. I mean, this kid was in AA, right? He didn't even really pitch in AAA. So give him a chance. Everybody relax. Like Aaron Rodgers says, relax, right? Sean, check in. What's up, Sean? How you doing, buddy? Sign the man, damn it. I mean, that could have been the title to the show tonight. Sign the man, damn it. Because listen, there's nothing else to say about it. Nothing else. The guy is showing right now why he is the best catcher in baseball. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a huge Ben Davis guy. Okay. Ben Davis, listen, he put his time in and, obviously he was catcher and he played a really rough position, but, he was a student of the game, learned a lot. And he said that for his money, JT Realmuto is a top 5 player in baseball. I'll tell you what, man. And that's, like he said, he's not being biased because he's a catcher. He has a catcher's mentality, and it's like the catcher code. But I think that argument's valid. JT Realmuto is that good. JT Realmuto is carrying that offense, right? Him and Bryce Harper both, but JT is the guy. Right now, JT is the guy. Sean says best catcher the last 10 years, hands down. You know what? Here's a good question. For everybody listening right now, Sean brings up a good point. Best catcher in the last 10 years, hands down. You think about it. Who was probably the best catcher offensively and defensively? Because you can't say Yadier Molina because Yadier Molina was a hell of a defensive catcher. I mean, yeah, I know he still plays, but he's not at the same ability, obviously. But he didn't have the bat, right, that JT has. Who was the last catcher baseball? Could it maybe, are we talking Buster Posey? I think JT blows Buster Posey away, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think, it might be Pudge. It might be Ivan Rodriguez, who maybe could have been the next best catcher over the last 10 or 15 years compared to JT Realmuto. If I'm missing somebody, please tell me, but I really don't think I am. I'm thinking back and looking at the teams real fast, and I think it's Pudge. It's probably Ivan Rodriguez, and that's some pretty good company to hold into, right? I mean, just JT most well-rounded maybe in 20 years. Yeah, Sean, listen, the more I think about it and we start looking at teams, just going through the divisions, and I'm thinking of catchers, and I'll tell you, man, it's really rough. I mean, I really think it's Pudge and Pudge in his heyday. I mean, you're talking 15 years ago, man. I mean, that's how good. Listen, we talk about Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons as being generational talents, right? It's kind of what JT Realmuto is. This isn't a game anymore that, response to catchers. Catchers are kind of like forgotten about. If anybody out here plays, DFS or plays fantasy baseball, and you're putting your lineup in, the catcher is like the kicker in football. It's the last position you worry about. And JT Realmuto is making it be, he's trying to set the standard of the market and say, listen, I'm not just a catcher. I'm a baseball player, and he wants to be paid like one of the top players in the game, and that's what his agent's going to push for, and deservingly so. Listen, deservingly so. Especially here's what I also want to put in everybody's head. Think about the DH being a universal position now, and think about if this goes past next year. Right? If they adopt the universal DH, which I really hope that they do, because I think it's a brilliant idea. I've been calling for like the last 5 years. I think it would just help people, prolong their careers, and it would allow people like JT Realmuto, catchers that were so good offensively, to be in the lineup and to maintain value after the 30, 32, 33 years old. So I think knowing that and looking ahead, I think that's why I don't have an issue with paying JT what he's going to command. And listen, you're going to pay him $23 to $24 million a year. Okay. That's what you're going to pay him. If you think you're going to pay him less, you're crazy. And a lot of people are going to ask, it was the question tonight that was asked to Ruben Amaro by Ricky Botalco and Michael Barkan on Sports Live, Philly Sports Live. It was, listen, can they be competitive with a guy like Bryce Harper and a guy like JT Realmuto on the payroll? Absolutely, they can. Stop. We're talking baseball here, right? It's a self-imposed cap. It's a self-imposed cap. Right? You're going to pay the luxury tax. You don't. That's what it's all about. Do you want to pay luxury tax? You don't. Now, listen, I know COVID struck and it hit revenues, but come on, man. These people are multi-billionaires. Stop it. Stop it. I'm tired of hearing it. They're still getting their TV revenue. They're still getting their sponsorships. They're still getting paid, man. They're still getting paid. And you know what? When it comes back, they're probably going to jack your parking up to $40 like the Eagles did, and they're going to make their money tenfold back in more ways than one. So I'm tired of hearing about, oh, well was me when it comes to the owners and ownership about money. All I know is, it took John Middleton to come in and actually sign Bryce Harper. If it takes John Middleton to come in and sign JT Realmuto, then Matt Klentak already signed his pink slip, and he should be gone immediately. Just my opinion, right? Just my opinion. But looking at looking at ahead, right? 6-9 now. Is this a turning point? Bryce Harper says the NL East is wide open. I don't believe that. Right? I don't. I still think that the NL East is a race. Is it wide open to all 4 teams? I think the Marlins will fizzle out. I really do. And, the Braves are playing really well, and the Nationals have to prove that they can stay healthy. But they have a guy, he's ripping the cover off the ball named Juan Soto right now, right? I mean, the Mets have a nice lineup. They have some nice hitters. The biggest thing with them is, can they stay healthy on the rotation, right? So obviously, okay, maybe I'll rephrase that. It is wide open, right? Anybody can win, but the Phillies, if they go, listen, you have to go on hot streaks, right? This shortened season is going to be made for hot streaks, and it's going to be needed. You're going to have to pull off 4, 5, 6 in a row, and you can't continue to get swept like they did in Baltimore. That can't happen. That backstep can't happen, right? We have to continue to go forward. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. I hope so, because I think this team is very talented, and I think that they are trying to gel together right now. And I just think that the bullpen and the pitching has killed them at times. And, once they turn it around, I think they should be okay. Going to the Flyers are going to be fine. The Flyers are going to be fine. They will come back and they will win game 3, and everybody will forget, this destruction. Everybody will forget that Carter Hart got pulled, because obviously, like I said earlier, he's not the first goalie to ever get pulled. It's not that big of a deal. Everybody relax. And then you get the Sixers get ready to start the playoffs. I mean, you get Boston. Listen, Boston for me, again, Brad Stevens and Brett Brown. That's what this comes down to. Okay. And I know Ben's not going to be there, right? I know Ben Simmons is going to be there, but Brad Stevens has Brett Brown's number. He always had Brett Brown's number, and he'll continue to have. You know what the Boston Celtics are to the Sixers? They're like the New York Giants were to the Philadelphia Eagles under guys like Jim Fossil and John Fox, and when they had Sean Payton, right? When they had those guys out there in New York, they always had Andy Reid's number. And it's the same kind of thing when you talk about Boston and Philadelphia, because Brad Stevens constantly has BB's number, and you don't have Ben Simmons, and the defense isn't playing extremely well, and you got a whole hell of a lot of shooters out there in Boston. And I'm scared. I'm concerned. I don't think, I think the line was 6.5. The Celtics are 6.5 favorite for the first game. I see no way to win this series. Zero. I see no way to win this series. So, if they don't, I think that, it's clean house time, man. Elton Brand, sorry, see you later. Brett Brown, sorry, see you later. Let's start this over. Can we trade somebody? Can we get another shooter in here? Is there any way possibly that we can actually get a guy like Devin Booker in here to play? I mean, maybe I'm dreaming. I don't know, but it would be nice. It would be nice to try to do something here to be able to be competitive with the rest of the league, because I don't think this team is. Not right now, not the way it's constructed. It's going to take a lot of different pieces. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, right? I hate to say it, but I know 2020 sucks, but 2021 could suck too, because guess what? If they do clean house, we're going to have to wait for whoever comes in to put their stamp on the organization as well. So that's the bad part about the Sixers right now. That's the bad part about the Sixers. So I think right now, listen, we got the Flyers, they're doing big things. We got the Phillies looking to turn things around, and then we get the Sixers starting to playoff series. So listen, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I just want to go about 15, 20, try to stick to this every night. Just talk some Phillies, talk some Flyers, talk some Sixers. Obviously, once football starts, we'll talk some football. If you can, look at the ticker below. You'll follow me at Ticatilla23 on Twitter, PhillyInfluencer.com, Fox Sports The Gambler, and Heat Ratio Sports. The Heat Ratio podcast, listen, iTunes, check it out. All you got to do, give me a 5-star, throw a little review out there. I'd greatly appreciate it. I work hard trying to grind to get this thing, up to another level. I got a great team around me, a great team with me, just like we have a great team at The Gambler. A lot of big things. And listen, for, also at Media Rise and React Media, I am a publicist, man. How, and if you need representation, somebody looking for representation, wants to be on the radio, wants to be in magazines, let me know. I can make that happen as well. But listen, again, as always, Maverick's sitting there. Mav, say bye to everybody. Say bye to the audience. We're going to have a cocktail now. It's Friday night. Go put my feet up, relax, watch a little Sports Center. Okay, do a little honeydew project tomorrow, and then we'll catch you again on Sunday. All right, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week.